Hi everyone, welcome to Techie World. So today I'll take you through the concept of record that were introduced first in Java 14 as a preview feature, and with the minor modifications or rather incremental changes, it came in Java 16 as a standard feature. Okay, so let us see what are the records. So records can be defined as a data holding object or rather immutable data holding objects, or rather we can say records are similar to enums in the fact that they are restricted from the classes. Okay. Defining a record is basically means a concise way of defining a immutable data holding object. So if you remember, traditionally, when we have to define the data holding object or rather DTO, data transfer object, that transfers the data from one layer to other layer in a web application, like from service layer to DAO layer or any other layer, then we used to create a simple data holding objects, and it requires a lot of boilerplate code, right? You will write a class, you will write the variable, then you will write setters and getters, and then it is required you need to override the equals method or hash code method, right? And these are basically a boilerplate code that is a cause of worry, because in some cases you may forget to override the equals method, or you may forget to override the hash code method where it is required, right? So that will create a problem in the functioning of your web application or any application that you are writing. Though in many IDE that we have right now, whether it is Eclipse or STS or IntelliJ, we have the functions inbuilt in the IDE that you can generate the setters and getters and the equals and you know overriding the equals method or overriding the hash code method, but still you have to click on that, you have to do that right in your code if it is required. So that actually reduced our overhead or the overhead on the developer, but still we have the chance to make a mistake, right? To address this problem, Java people came with the records. Okay, what are records? Records are immutable data holding objects. Okay, so let's have a brief look on record here. So you can say, like, the first point about record is record were introduced in Java 14 as a preview feature to facilitate the creation of immutable data objects. That's what I told you, right? The second point about record is Java 15 enhanced the record type further, and in Java 16 it came as a standard feature of the JDK. Now, records are similar to enum in the fact that they are restricted from the classes. That I already told you when I was discussing a record. Okay. Defining a record is a concise way of defining an immutable data object. That's what I told you. Like, defining a record is basically a concise way of defining an immutable data object, data holding object. Data holding object is basically a DTO. You can say data transfer object, which actually holds the data and transfer that data from one layer to other layer in the case of the web application. Okay. Now, earlier, before the record classes, what we were doing, and after the record classes, what we are doing, let's have a look, and then you will understand the reason for introduction of this record. Okay. So before, what we used to do, we used to write a class. Like, if you see here, we used to write a class. We used to write all the variables that is required. Like, let us say we have written a class employee, then employee will have some ID, employee will have some name and location, and many more fields. Okay. Then we need to write the setters, we need to write the getters, and the equals and hash code method needs to be overridden here if required. That's why I have placed star there. Okay. Now, after the introduction of record, see, you can do this entire thing in the one line. So have a look on this. So after the introduction of record in Java 14 and with the further improvement in Java 16, you can write public record employee, and you can write all the feats that it has here like this in a single line. So it has reduced a lot of boilerplate code. And if you write this in your web application, then it will look more concise, and it will look more pretty. Okay, so how to implement this record in a Java application? Let's have a look on this code. Okay, let's go to the ID, and then we'll try to implement this record new feature that came in Java 14 and further improved in Java 16 with the help of code. Okay, so let's have a look on this code. To save the time, I have already written the code for you, and you can have a look. So let us say what you can write to define a record. You can write record employee, int ID, string name, and a string location. And to create a immutable object of this, you don't need to write setters and getters and equals and hash code method here, right, in the class. And here you can say employee emp equal to new employee one and the Java and Delhi. Java is the name of the employee, Delhi is the location. Okay, and this one is the ID. Now you can see to write this code, you don't need to write setters and getters. Obviously, it has reduced the line of the code. You don't need to write the equals and hash code method, or rather you don't need to override the equals and hash code method. Here, that will actually reduce the overhead dependency that we have on the developer. Okay, it will be taken care by internally by the Java, or rather JVM. Okay, so you can simply write employee emp equal to new employee one Java Delhi. That's it, and then you can simply print this to know whether this is set or not. Okay, so let's run this code and we'll try to understand how it works. Okay, run as Java application. So if you see this, I have tried to print this employee.id, that is printing one. Second one is name, it is printing Java. And the third one is I'm trying to print the entire object. And you can see here employee ID equal to 1, name equal to Java, location equal to Delhi. So instead of writing the setter, getter, and all the boilerplate code, you just need to define a record here. And that record can be employee, that record can be student, can be anything. Anything which contains the data can be defined as a record in the Java. Okay. So that's how record work in Java. So that's all for today. And that's all about records in Java. If you want the code and the notes shown in this video, then please do comment our email ID and you will receive this within 24 hours. Also, I'll be posting more such informative video on this channel. So if you found this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.